And what's the process? Because this is another thing. People get really confused as to what diplomas work, how to apply, where to apply, who to speak to, when to do it. So let's get into that. Let's start at the basics. I mean, just as a recap, because I had to do the entrance exam and I still remember it. Because people usually message or call and they ask, how difficult is the entrance exam?
Basically, you can score anything between plus 800 and minus 800. So if you score 0, you are like 50%. For the first year, like 210 people approximately. In Bratislava, 240 people. Whoa. In Martin, 150 people. Or you can do it with the help of the agency. So for example, we do in Poland for the last 6-7 years. From my knowledge, in Bratislava, there are so many students from German-speaking countries. Or another option for students would be to come to Bratislava and then take the free train to Košice.
Ah, there is a free train, you're right. Hey there everyone, I think one of the most confusing topics for students is where to study, right? Because there's so many universities, so much misinformation out there, it can get very, very confusing as to where to apply, especially if you want to follow your journey into medicine or dentistry. I'm super happy that we have Peter on today to give us more of an in-depth review and understanding of the journey into medicine and dentistry, especially in Slovakia. So I want to start off by asking you a very simple question. Can you study medicine and dentistry in Slovakia in more than one location, or is it just the one?
So there are totally 4 faculties of medicine in Slovakia, and 2 faculties of dentistry in Slovakia.
And off the top of your head, do you remember the names and the locations of each one of these?
So now we are located in Košice, so that's Faculty of Medicine UPJS. Then you can study in Bratislava, where there are basically 2 universities. One is Slovak Medical University, and second is a Faculty of Medicine Comenius University. And finally, Comenius University has also one more faculty in middle central Slovakia. It's called the Jessenius Faculty of Medicine.
Right, okay, so those are the 4 in total. And of those 4, which ones can you do dentistry? And one obviously is here where we are in UPJS. Where's the other one?
So second one is in Bratislava.
Okay,
basically, if you study in Slovak, you can do it also in Martin, but if you study in English, you can do it just in Bratislava and Košice.
Okay, makes sense. So 2.5. kind of, if you want to learn Slovak. Okay, sounds great. And what's the process? Because this is another thing. People get really confused as to what diplomas work, how to apply, where to apply, who to speak to, when to do it. So let's get into that. Let's start at the basics. What are the entry requirements, especially if you want to do medicine or dentistry?
So the biggest benefit, I would say, compared to many countries like Germany, Poland, or Sweden, I suppose, is that you do not need to have even relevant secondary or high school education.
Okay.
You do not need to have biology, chemistry, physics in your high school curricula. You can apply for the studies, pass the entrance exam in biology, chemistry. If you pass it, then you are a student in that faculty. But of course, it's required that you are eligible to attend university even in your home country.
Yes.
And even you are eligible then to study medicine or dentistry in Slovakia. So you pass the entrance exam, biology, chemistry. Based on that, you get result. Based on those results, you get admission to university.
Sounds good. I mean, just as a recap, because I had to do the entrance exam and I still remember it, because people usually message or call and they ask, how difficult is the entrance exam? And to be honest with you, I think it's a straightforward exam. Is that the same experience that you've had with students that you've worked with in the past? They find it relatively easy to prepare for?
So we do quite many students we have from Poland.
Okay.
And in Poland we did preparatory course for this Faculty of Medicine Košice, where the teachers in biology, chemistry with PhD degree, they explain each question and answer, 1,200 questions and answers. So basically, of course, you can also memorize the answers That's also possible, but what will be the use if you still need biology chemistry for the first year? Like, what would be the use if you don't understand the ratio behind?
Exactly.
So speaking about the preparation, I would say like this course can help you a lot, but there are still like quite many students who manage to memorize all the questions within like 2-3 weeks and get accepted. Like, I'm not sure about your experience, but you saw the questions. Those are like quite, some questions are like maybe at university level.
Yeah. I would say from my experience, it was, if I was to relate this to the UK standard, it's very much like A-level. So it does make you think critically. But one, I'd say, different thing about the way that it works here, the MCQs are like multiple choice for the entrance exam only.
Yeah.
So it means that you get 4 choices, all 4 can be wrong or all 4 can be right, and there's a mixture between it. But as you quite rightly said, for those people that want to just learn it and memorize it, you can do it that way, but again, quite rightly so, it's probably not going to benefit you later on when you get here. And in regards to the results, how quickly does that turn around? Because there's some students that are applying in different countries, and one major issue they have, they're just waiting for ages for the results to come out. How quick is the turnaround in sort of Slovakia or Košice?
So basically in Košice you get results within 3-4 working days maximum.
Okay.
Sometimes I saw the result being published even on the next day.
Nice.
Because you get the answer sheet, then the answer sheet is processed by computer, so there's not much manual power or manual work to be involved.
Nice one, like that.
If you pass the passing grade, which is 570 out of 800 this year,
okay,
then you get accepted.
Okay.
In UPJS. Like similar is for Bratislava, but in Bratislava Faculty of Medicine Comenius, you need to score approximately 300 points, but out of 800, but there are minus points also.
Ooh, that's
so
a big difference.
basically you can score anything between plus 800 and minus 800. So if you score 0, you are like 50%.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah, that's scary. I'm lucky that we came through the way that we did. I tend to have people ask me in terms of competition. Medicine, obviously, across the world, everyone is oversubscribing everywhere that you go. You said that you need to pass by a certain pass mark. Is there a limit? And how does that work? Then does it become a case of first come, first serve, or is it then dependent on what marks you got compared to other people?
It's based on the rolling admission, so it doesn't matter if you apply like in March, June, or you apply in August. It depends if you pass the mark which you need to. The reason is like the intakes in Slovakia, they're quite big. If you, for example, compare it with Croatia, if you compare it with Czech Republic, it's maybe double of the seats in each university almost.
I see.
So some universities in Czech Republic maybe admit like 60-70 people, but this university will admit for the first year like 210 people approximately. In Bratislava 240 people. Whoa. In Martin 150 people. So that's just the medicine.
Do you know the numbers for dentistry? It must be a lot smaller.
Approximately
right?
40 people for one intake.
That makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, even my year group is not even at capacity yet.
Yes.
That makes complete sense. So your advice there would be make sure that you apply and take the test as soon as possible rather than just sit there and wait, right?
Well, sometimes what happens is that students, they think too much, they meditate too much about taking the exam. Suddenly it's August, like you do not have time for the preparation, or there are very little options where you can apply.
Yeah.
So that's why it makes sense for you. If you wish to apply for more universities, it makes sense to apply at different time periods, because if you are supposed to memorize like 1,200 questions here and 1,000 in Bratislava, like you will not make it if you do it like
back to back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I like that. So the advice there, definitely split it all out, take your time with it, apply and get it done sooner rather than last minute.
Yeah.
And in regards to where people can take the exam, do they have to come to Košice to take the exam? Can they do it in their home countries? Is it online? How does it work then?
Yeah, so for Košice is only exception. You need to do it in person.
Okay.
You need to, so faculty either organizes the exams in June and August in Košice, or you can do it with the help of the agency. So for example, we do in Poland for the last 6-7 years, we did in Krakow and in Warsaw.
Okay.
Like 2 dates in August second half. This year we would like to do also in Norway, in Oslo. Last week of the August, so let's see.
Let's hope so.
Then for the Comenius Universities, so in Martin and Bratislava, you can do it online, which is like quite big benefits, especially for those who, for example, study who are located, I don't know, in US or currently there were some Sri Lanka students contacted me. So they passed the exam for Comenius online. Only problem was the time difference. But like
it's better than flying all the way.
You cannot like make everyone happy.
Yeah, of course. No, it makes sense. Okay, so we've discussed how people can get into the uni, which universities that they have in terms of options. In your experience, what is the kind of the most popular university, or I don't want to say what's the best one because that's very subjective, but is there maybe a shift now? Are more people learning about Košice and wanting to come here? Or is it still very much a case of everybody wants to go to the capital and go to Bratislava only?
Okay, so from my knowledge, in Bratislava, there are so many students from German-speaking countries.
Okay.
Because like Bratislava, it's so close. And basically the idea behind is that like German students, they have this admission, like they do not have that many seats in their universities.
Okay.
So basically German students, they can apply also to Austrian universities. But then those Austrian students, they do not have a place to study. So that's why they come to Bratislava. So it's quite natural that maybe 70-80% of intake in Bratislava can be German-speaking students.
Okay, right.
Then there are some Japanese students. But here you can see like from your classmates or maybe from, as you can see in the school, in the lectures, like here there are like, I think the biggest minority is Israeli students, then comes Polish student, German and so on, Spanish, Italian, Greek,
lots,
Portuguese. So here like the structure is very different.
And do you feel as though, I'm going to say this more out of favoritism almost, but do you feel like there are more UK students coming in?
UK students, I had few UK students. I do not have like that precise statistic, but as you mentioned before, I think currently UK students are more oriented toward the Bulgaria, Romania. I hope it will change.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I feel as though, Slovakia in general definitely deserves it. And all of the things that you've said so far, is it the same with dentistry? Because I know recently we made a video in terms of how the amount of years for dentistry has changed. It's become a 5-year course. Are there any kind of thoughts of that ever happening with medicine, or is it always going to remain a 6-year course?
Like the medicine will be definitely 6 years, because if you take a look like everywhere, like medicine is 6 years, so just this dentistry to remain competitive like with other countries, like that's why they decrease it to the 5 years. However, like dentistry in Bratislava still is 6 years. So that's still interesting that like within one country you can study like 5 and 6 years. Maybe it will be even possible if you get admitted in this year. Maybe you can still decide if you want to proceed with 6 years or 5 years curricula. But I suppose most of people will
stick with the
for
5. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. And when we're talking about tuition fees, this is a major topic. Maybe I'm asking you too much here, but do you know off the top of your head the different universities and their fee structure?
Yes, so the difference is not that big actually. So we will start with Jessenius Faculty, that's 11,500 for the general medicine. Then comes faculty in Bratislava, Comenius University, That's 12,200 euros, and then comes UPJS, that's 13,000 euros this year. And then when we speak about the dentistry, so dentistry in Košice, it's 13,500, and in Bratislava it's 13,800.
But we're one less year.
But basically they have 1 year extra, yes.
Yeah, so it's better to come to UPJS. That's my opinion, as a student. Okay, cool. So that's kind of covered all of that. In terms of student living, cost of living, rent prices, food prices, all of this, is there a big difference between Košice and Bratislava at the moment?
And so recently, especially the rent prices between Košice and Bratislava, they equalize quite a bit.
Okay.
So there are like quite many students coming here to Košice, plus also there will be, maybe you noticed it, there will be Volvo factory.
Yeah, the one, it's towards where I play football, actually.
Yeah, exactly, in the south from Košice, 10 kilometers. So
that's it.
There's like huge demand for the flats. So that's why the prices went. It's very similar with Bratislava nowadays.
Okay.
In Martin, if you study, like there is quite big a chance you can get also dorm. Especially if you apply for the June or July entrance exam. Okay. Then like you can keep your like living expenses, I mean the accommodation expenses to maybe 150 to 200 euros.
Okay, nice.
Which is quite affordable.
I mean, even for me, I'm currently living without the rent on about 50 euros a week for everything. That's traveling, that's eating, going out and eating outside maybe. It's a relatively, I'd say, comfortable way of living here without being too extortionate, which is very good. And you mentioned there about travel, which is huge. People want to know, how can they get here, how easy and accessible is it? Bratislava obviously being the capital, people are going to expect that that's the easiest place to land in. But what's the situation with Košice airport? Is it easy and travel friendly, or is it still a difficult airport to get into for Europeans especially?
Sure. Košice airport has some nice connections. Definitely it has connection to London, to Switzerland, Prague, and then many charter flights, but that's usual during the summer. Then you can also use the option that you will come to Budapest. Yes. And from Budapest it's approximately 3 to 4 hours by train or by bus. That's also good option. Some students even might consider maybe going to Krakow, then coming here. However, maybe that would be a little bit too complicated. Or another option for students would be to come to Bratislava and then take the free train to Košice.
Ah, there is a free train, you're right, yes.
If you are below 26, then you have free train as well.
Ah, there you go. So that is a good piece of inside information for anybody who's looking to travel around, especially here. And then just generally to kind of close things off, your experience from students in terms of the feedback that they've given you when they have entered Slovakia generally to study. Any sort of comments and feedbacks that you'd like the viewers to know about so they can get a bit more of an insight as to what the country has to offer as a student? Yeah, sure.
Like students, I have many students, especially to Košice and Martin. They're like super happy with the level of classes education. However, feedback, for example, which I get from the students who study in Martin is that that city is not like that big, so there is like not much to do apart from studies. So it depends what are your like expectations in terms of the student life. Exactly. If you expect if you just want to finish your degree in 6 years and you're happy with that, as many Norwegian students, Icelandic students, then that can be. But actually last year there were like so many students who contacted me from Martin. And when I asked them like what's wrong, so they said like there's like no student life. But like definitely the quality of education there is like really good. So now we are in simulation center in Košice, but in Martin they have like also simulation center, the whole building for the research. Wow. For the students and scientists as well. So this you can take as big advantage for the students. Bratislava definitely in the last year they made huge progress. Like there is still a lot of to do, but a lot of things have been done already. So definitely students who will come to Bratislava will be happy with that as well.
Sounds great. I think, hopefully people have watched this and realised that Slovakia is a genuine country in contention if you are looking to study abroad. I think there are great facilities here as a student, as a dental student. I can't ask for anything better than this. It's been amazing. And for all of my friends that are in medicine as well, they always say how they feel as though they're always being listened to by the professors and the teachers, the different departments. They can find patients to work with in different wards all the time. They have no struggle there. They enjoy the nightlife. They enjoy that it's easy to travel in and around Europe from as well. And I think overall the experiences that I'm hearing from people has been very positive. So I hope anybody listening and watching would be happy to come here from this September onwards, and we look forward to seeing you soon. That'd be great.